There he is. There he goes. Good morning.
What's going on?
Did you go on a fast break or did you break a fast?
Oh man, it was a little bit of both. Much needed, man. Yeah, I almost feel tired now though.
Are you a big breakfast eater or do you like I
No.
don't do much for breakfast. I can't.
No,
It's terrible.
not at all. But yeah, that podcast would suck up this morning and then
Oh,
okay.
haul ass. Yeah, whatever. Haul ass over to First Watch.
I tried to avoid saying his name a minute ago, and there's plenty of those. That's a very common name in South Carolina, as we all know now. Could be any of the suck ups. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, I'm in 2025. I'm not hiding anything. I'm letting it all and
letting it all hang
you'll
out.
You'll understand what I mean after you talk to Pat.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to this. I'll call him when I get off the air. We'll don't worry. We'll work through it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
There's a lot of people out there that have nobody's interest. Yeah, that's right. Just
what are you gonna do? You're gonna keep doing what we do and be better. That's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
You know what? Speaking of all letting it hang out, let's. I hate that I missed you last week, man. With the kids and all, it was just one thing after the other with them, and then obviously to the game. But I know y'all had a great turnout. That episode is up and available today. Tailgate Talks. It was a live episode down there, not far from the ballpark, on December the 30th. I think it was that night after the pep rally.
Yep.
Let's talk about the game. You're an emotional guy. You're an emotional player, and there were a lot of emotions in this game. And let's go directly to what's been one of the main conversation pieces for the last 8 days. And that was, we can talk about the situation as much as we want, but as Steven Garcia, a football player, Shane Beamer, and how he reacted to what Brett Bielema did on his sideline, wanted to get your version of that and how that would make you feel if that was your head coach over there.
If I'm a player, I don't really know what exactly the hell happened. And I don't think I would necessarily care, I saw plenty of Spurrier get fired up, not always for good reasons, sometimes for most of the time for bad reasons. And I was the tail end of that. But yeah, I mean, I thought that whole thing was blown way out of proportion. And I know that may piss off some Gamecock fans. It's like, come on, man. Who gives a shit?
Well,
that's my process, or my thought process on it.
All right. So yeah, let's have this conversation. So here's how I had said, because I thought it was the right time for him to do what he did for a bunch of stuff. But I thought that there was a lot of things like, Shane's an emotional guy, and he doesn't,
sure.
He's not going to hide things. So let's go back. I'm not trying to change your mind or anything like that. This is the way that I saw it, so we can have the conversation. Number one, every time the ball was snapped, Illinois is holding, and Carolina bitched and moaned about it for 3 quarters, and nobody did anything about it, which was ridiculous. Number two, Illinois, anytime Carolina was moving the football, they fell over like they were hurt, and then they came back in on the next play. That was a joke.
That would piss me off. That would piss me off more than anything else.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like you had those things. You had the late substitution.
So you're saying it's just the stuff.
Well, and then it culminated with the Emmanwori situation, which we're going to get to here in just a minute, man. Like, I think he had just had enough. It was like, okay, the subbing stuff is getting old. When you combine that with the guys just falling down on defense, I mean, this whole thing is just a stall tactic. Everything is, although it was legal. And then to put myself in Shane's shoes, because I was right there where it happened, and I watched it. And he walked over when that kid, who actually legitimately did go down with an injury, patted him on the helmet, patted him on the rear end. You okay? All right, go get him, big dog. And he walks back to his sideline. Well, Bielema takes 3 minutes to get across the field, naturally. And then he decides that he wants to give the T-bar sign because of something he wasn't happy about. Didn't address it with the officials. Even admitted to that. Didn't wait till after the game. Nothing. It said after the game. No, I wasn't doing it. Shane, I was doing it the whole sideline. I think that Shane had just had enough. And I felt like that was a good moment because there were a lot of, Steve, in that game just had so many strange occurrences, right? Like it was like, man, we just this close, this close, this close. And it felt like that'd be the moment that kind of carried them to victory. It didn't. But I was curious what you thought of those. We haven't talked.
Yeah, no, I think that those are very valid points. And to be honest, I was hosting a New Year's Eve party, so I don't recall every single play of that game, but I saw enough of it. But yeah, I did remember seeing those guys just kind of falling on the ground and like literally looking at the sideline, like, should I go down? Should I come back up?
It was crazy.
Tell me what you want me to do. That's crazy's a polite word I'd use to describe that tactic.
Yeah.
I think you're right, man.
Well, I mean, you just think of, like, I think about you as a football player, if you were the quarterback and just little thing, every time you would move the ball down the field and then they would just drop down like they were hurt. And you're like, dude, what are we doing here? You've got every other play, you've got something going on. They're subbing late. It's 5 seconds and you got an official standing over. I'm trying to remember who all your centers were. TJ Johnson. I think TJ was one of your centers one year, wasn't he? So
he was.
You got an official standing over TJ going, you can't snap the ball because y'all subbed with 25 seconds left on the clock, and they're subbing with 7 seconds left on the clock. You just add all these things up. Eventually tempers flare, and officials don't get control of things. I thought it was a phenomenal move by Shane Beamer. He didn't get a penalty for it, in case anybody's wondering. They weren't willing to throw flags for anything. The other team ripped Attaway's helmet off and threw it into the leg of an official, and they didn't throw a flag.
It was an interesting game. That's for damn sure. But
it's crazy.
What you're going to start noticing is these coaches are going to start using these flaws in the bylaws to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Steven, real quick, is this something? Is this something you would have seen Steve Spurrier try and manipulate when he was at Carolina, the injuries and stopping timeouts? I mean, because it's in the rules, you can do it.
No.
But do you think Spurrier would have? What do you think Spurrier would say about it in post game?
He would not be as polite as the coaches are. I think he would be cursing up a storm and just flat out pissed off because I mean he was the damn pioneer of kind of the hurry up no huddle offense if you think about it. So we're trying to play fast and you got guys laying on the ground. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I hate it personally. But again, I understand that's part of the bylaws. So, you got to use what you got to use. And I mean, you even saw that in the, was it Notre Dame, Georgia changed the entire punt formation to an offensive formation. It is what it is. It's not against the rules. Or is it? I don't even know. I don't know what's up or down or sideways anymore.
No, you're right. None of that's against the rules. I mean,
it is legal. Yeah.
Yeah, and what Bielema was upset about Carolina giving the T-bar, as from a safety standpoint, like that wasn't against the rules either. But I just found it interesting.
I heard his press conference.
Yeah. What did you think? What did you think about that?
This means I don't know, man. I don't know. And to be completely honest, I really don't even care anymore. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing it. But it is kind of baffling that Bielema was like DMing these Carolina fans and then blocking them immediately. Is that a true story?
Oh, I don't know. Is that?
I haven't heard that one.
That is what appears to be. I can't confirm it, but yeah, there's a lot of people on Twitter that say that. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got this DM from Bet Bielema, and he's like, hey, thanks for coming to the game. Happy New Year. LOL, crying emojis, and then he blocks them.
Again, he's flexing his petty. Yeah. Yeah.
It could be AI. Who knows?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess
he was clearly having a good time on the sideline, laughing and chuckling at the whole situation. So I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah,
he
seems like he could be petty like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, none of it changes the outcome or anything like that. What was your opinion of LaNorris in the game after not playing for about a month?
I mean, he didn't look like the LaNorris that was the same guy that was finishing out the year. The game can kind of see that. There were several throws that it's like, man, what's going on here, man? How the hell do you miss that? But it's everybody thinks like you have all this time off and you're going to be prepared as ever. It's in my experiences in my brain, it's the complete opposite. And you saw that with the playoff that every team that had a bye week lost. Just because you have that extra time to rest guys, I mean, resting is not good. You do not want to rest your guys and go all of a sudden you're at 0 now. It's not good. It's not healthy. So I mean, obviously, you're practicing all that other stuff, but there's nothing like game speed. There's nothing like the pressure of being in front of, 100,000 people and millions that are watching on TV. So I'm not a huge fan of the huge layoff in between games, but that's how the structure is. But hopefully we can put that game behind them and kind of get ready for this offseason.
Yeah, I've always wondered that with quarterbacks, if it equates to like I think about it from a baseball standpoint. If you're swinging it really well, man, and you've played 5 games in 7 days, and you're 11 for your last 19, and with a couple of bombs, and you haven't struck out, and everything's just. And then all of a sudden you don't play for 5 or 6 days, and you go for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Everybody's like, "What? This guy's a bum. What happened to him?" Blah blah blah. that time off, like it like shuts your brain down a little bit. Once if you're off a smidgen, everything is off in sports, and that's what I felt like with him.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I think you can equate it to any sport. You don't play golf for a couple of weeks, and after you've been playing every day for a couple of weeks, you're gonna hit the ball differently. It's the same thing as in football. And I remember Coach Spurrier, we're sit there and watch the same against certain formations that we have in our playbook. He's like, "Yeah, this is what they're going to run here. This is what they're going to run here." I'm like, "Coach, you don't think that these guys are going to change based on what we're running?" Like, I mean, they're game planning too. I mean, it's I don't know why the hell we're watching this, but that's a whole different conversation with me and Coach Spurrier.
Hey, Steven, real quick, I do have a question for you. Yeah,
Coach,
yeah.
What are you doing? You don't have anything. Since you won the national championship, you're washed up. This is ridiculous.
Hey, Steven, talking about that, when you do have like the 15 bowl practices, right? And you are going through the workouts and whatnot, you're still around the team. But are those 15 bowl practices like in-season practices? I mean, is it the same intensity? What's that like? Because I feel like you want to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it was not even remotely close to being the same. But as we just have those bowl practices, and then we go home for Christmas. So we're away from everybody for 4 or 5, sometimes 6 days, however long it may be, and then you go right back into the city that you're playing the bowl game in. I mean, those practices are pretty intense, but you have all the practices prior to Christmas, and you're just kind of there, just kind of dicking around. So yeah, to answer your question, no, the bull practices were not very intense at all. You don't want to get guys hurt. You don't in this day and age.
All right. Steven Garcia is the quarterback in South Carolina. He comes out of the second half. You get the ball, you end up punting. Your defense runs out on the field. Your All-American safety has decided not to play. What's going through your mind?
It's a whole different world now, man, to be completely honest. I mean, not only do you have projected first round, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty big payday. I'm sure he's getting a nice little check while he's at South Carolina. It's a whole different deal. When I was playing, there was no NIL. I mean, at least not for most people. And then you got this draft stock, and the amount of money that these guys are potentially able to make. You got to make a business decision, and I don't know personally making the decisions by themselves. I think they have their agents, their team, so to speak, kind of get buzzing in their ear, like, "Hey, man, like, you played the first half, you're injury free. Let's sit out the second half." I don't know the whole dynamics of it. Me personally, I hate to see it. I think it's extremely I don't want to say selfish, but selfish. But again, that's in front of me. So it's hard for me to say that. But then then you see the flip side. You got Cam Ward, who's like, I just want to play to break the career, touchdown passer deal record. And then he sits out in the second half, they end up losing. So again, I don't know. I don't know what's up, down. It's the whole thing. It's a long-winded answer. The whole thing is just I hate it personally. I think if you're going to suit up with your boys, play the whole damn game.
Well, I'm with you on that.
It is what it is.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but probably because they're so small that nobody actually wants to show them to you. The amount of kids that go out and just get hurt, career-ending injuries in bowl games is basically non-existent. And that's number one. Number two, I asked you the question, so I'll follow that up with, the personal side of it. I know you pretty well. There ain't a chance in hell that you would let your team run out there with a chance to win 10 games in the second half of a bowl game, a close game, and not play. The only way you wouldn't is if Coach Spurrier said, no, you can't play this half for whatever reason. You're not like those guys that you played with. No, they're not removing themselves from the ball game. None of them are.
Yep. No, you're 100% right. And we had first round guys on our roster that, played in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, that played bowl games. So yeah, I mean, it's a different day and age for college football. And and I'll tell you what, man, and I've talked with a couple guys, and I've talked with a pretty big size booster for University of Miami, and he's like, to hell with it. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. I'm not writing checks anymore. There's no loyalty in college football. Why the hell am I going to be loyal to this program? Like, I'm done. And that's going to be a pretty big punch to their bottom line.
Well, that we haven't even really hit on that. Is it really, it really is kind of a sensitive deal for whatever reason to some people. I'm not so sure why it is, but to your point, I thought about that while I was down there. Now, my feelings weren't hurt. I was disappointed in the fact that he did that and didn't tell anybody he was going to do it. But, I mean, Steven, you live in Tampa, so you understand the expense of bringing a family to a place like Orlando to go watch a football game with children and things. It's thousands of dollars to do this.
Oh yeah.
And Nick Emmanwori and anybody else, look, they don't make these decisions for these fans. I'm not implying that like you owe. No. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that fans have every right to say exactly what you just said. You know what?
Exactly.
If this is how it's going to be, I don't have to support you either.
Right.
Make whatever choice you want. You could try to convince me all day long we need more NIL dollars and this, that, and the other, and I hold up my end of the bargain and give you the little bit of money that I've got every month. But if you're just going to not play when I've traveled hundreds and thousands of miles and spent thousands of dollars to come watch you play, I don't have to do this anymore either. If you want to quit, I can quit too.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. And I have a feeling that my buddy is not the only guy in college football that has that same kind of mindset. And it's
Steven, you're going to have a unique perspective on this. You're going to have a unique perspective on this one. You're around a lot of the former players. We talked to a handful of them as well, sometimes more than a handful. But, you had a kind of a rocky relationship with Gamecock fans, program, all of that, after you left the university. What do you anticipate the relationship being like with Nick Emmanwori from a fan perspective and, just a brother perspective of his teammates and all of that?
Question. I to be honest, I don't know. I think talking with like Pat and talking with a couple of the other guys and really just talking about anybody in the football community, it's like, if you're going to play the whole game. If you're not, if you want to sit out, if you want to do what Kyle did and not play the bowl game, then don't do it. Just don't waste everybody's time and expectations of saying like, I'm going to play and then play a half and then you're done. I think that's crazy. So to answer your question, I don't know what vibe is like in Columbia. I've seen plenty of stuff on Twitter where he's catching a lot of hell for it. And, I think it's, as Jamie just said, I think it's valid. You're spending all this money to go to these games in Columbia. You're spending money to go to these bowl games. I feel like, you kind of paid for that experience and you're not getting it. So Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out.
I'll add this. So I do think, I know that he is a good kid, and I know he loves this school, and I know he loves this state. I think if he could have that decision back, he wouldn't do that. And that's me saying that. It's just understanding what type of person Nick Emmanwori is. I think that he is going to go to the NFL, and he's going to be a great ambassador to this university for a long time. I think he made a really bad decision. I won't go as far, Stephen, to say that I think he regrets it, because I don't know that. But that's my personal opinion. Is I think if he could do it again, I think that he probably would. I'll bet, to your question, Matt, I bet it's a mixture. I don't think you're going to get all one way or the other. I'm sure.
Yeah, you still have so many fans that hate Spurrier because the way he ended it. They forget all the good times.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and there's plenty of fans that hate me too, and hated me for a long time, and then as Coach Spurrier always said, and I tell people this all the time, Coach Spurrier's best advice he ever gave me was that time heals all. There's, like I said, I burnt one bridge down to the ground, absolute scorched earth style, when I left Columbia. But other than that, I didn't burn any bridges. So I think that's why a lot of the fans kind of forgave me for my dumbass decisions I made, and there's plenty of them. And here we are talking Carolina ball.
No, he's just talking ball. I know. It's who said this to you? Oh, it was Coach Elliott. When you talked to Sean, he said, "You're probably the greatest, most unique player in the history of the program. You got kicked off the team, and they love you as much now as they did then."
I know it is crazy. When he said that, I was like, "Damn, you're actually kind of right, man."
I know he's
that
right.
made me feel a little bit better. That made me feel a little better.
I mean, even Coach Spurrier is like, yeah, Steve, we love Steven. Just well, the only bridge you burnt was Hyman. Who cares about that?
Correct. Yeah, I could care less about that.
Every once in a while, you run into a bridge that you just are worth burning down.
Yeah. And that was one. That was definitely one.
That's you. I mean, you're not the only one. You know that he was something. Okay, so
he was something, all right.
Yeah. The guys like Coach Tanner, who were coaching baseball at the time, were in there meeting with him, going, "What are you doing? Just, I don't know, punish him or something. But we're going to do this to this kid? What are we doing? I don't even coach him, and this is ridiculous." But anyways, that's for another day. All right, so this is a pretty critical time, right? Like, so this is LaNorris Sellers football team. They are bringing the transfer quarterback in from Ohio State, Air Noland, who throws the piss out of it. You got two guys here who can flat out fire it. That ball that, by the way, I don't know if it calculated with you or not. The ball that LaNorris threw deep to Dale Von Campbell, who kind of tripped and caught it and fell over. That ball was in the air for 70 yards, Stephen, from where he threw the football from. I mean, it was a hammer. So I love this. I think that this is just wonderful for this program. And Air Noland, who has decided to come play here knowing that LaNorris Sellers is the entrenched starter and wanting to take that on. You were a competitor, and LaNorris is going to have somebody pushing him, a high-profile player who throws from the left side. So what do you anticipate January with workouts and all that stuff through April being like in this football program with those two in the quarterback room?
I would hope that it was kind of similar to what Connor and I had. We were just uber competitive, and we did every rep against each other, and I think at the end of the day it made us better. It made the program better, made the team, the team is all looking at the quarterback, so they see us kind of fighting and competing, that now their game is stepping up as well. So I think it's nothing but positive things. I think it's going to elevate LaNorris to really dial in, and so I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, it was funny, JB. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Spurrier kind of against left-handed quarterbacks? He just didn't like how the ball came out, the way it looked, and with Nolan being a lefty.
Yes.
Oh, was he
I'll
really?
answer that for you. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, look back and see if look how many left-handed quarterbacks Spurrier had.
Well, I don't think he had any, did he?
I remember he was very much. There was a kid that they were recruiting, and like, it was a big time quarterback. It might have been John Brantley. I can't remember, Stephen, but I can't remember if John Brantley was a lefty, but there was somebody that was like,
Brantley's
nope,
a
he's
righty.
a lefty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brantley's right.
No, but yeah, that's 100. Yeah, Spurrier 100% was not a left-handed guy, and I can tell you, man, I train a couple left-handed kids, and the ball spins completely different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have to? So, do you call the offense differently with that? I mean, how do you adjust that? What do you do?
I don't think you can call it differently. I mean, you have to call it the same. You just got to have that quarterback throwing to your receivers all the damn time, so they get adjusted to the spin instead of it coming like here, it's coming out this way, and it's kind of like, I guess that's equate to like a curveball or a slide. I don't know shit about baseball, but
Yeah,
you know,
slider.
Can you do that with a jugs machine?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do it with the jugs machine? I
don't know.
I've never seen it. I've always seen it right-handed.
Well, there's a lot of tail on a left-handed quarterback's throw, right? Or there can be.
Right.
Yeah, that would drive me nuts.
It's. I'm trying to think who the left-handed. Yeah.
Well, I know one quarterback that he was recruiting that was left-handed. His name was Tim Tebow.
Yeah, maybe that was the guy. Maybe it was Tebow that was a lefty.
Tebow visited.
Really?
Yeah, he visited. I did not know that. He visited Mike Shula in Alabama, and he visited here. But it was going to be hard to get him away, from Gainesville. But that was probably that had to be 2 years before you had to be.
Yeah, Tebow was 7.
Was he class of 07? Was he really?
I was 07.
No, you were 07. But Tebow was a freshman on the 06 Florida team when Chris Leak was the quarterback, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
So then he was. I thought he was 05.
Well, he might have graduated like that December, and then was on the 06 team. I don't think he was on that 05
class
team.
of 06. He was class. I'm looking it up. Class of 2006.
Who? Because Leak, I know Leak was the quarterback in 05 in Coach Spurrier's first year when we beat him at home. Blake beat him. Blake had a pretty good game that day. And that was the first time that Carolina had beaten Florida since like 1930. And Leak was the quarterback. That was Urban Meyer's first year at Florida. And then
that's right. Yep.
And then, Coach Spurrier, I mean, that was like, remember, he had just gotten to South Carolina, and it was, whoa, man, Steve Spurrier, South Carolina. I mean, Carolina was getting interest from all kinds of quarterbacks. And Tebow visited. But he ended up, of course, choosing the Gators. That was crazy stuff. Well, look, man, it's gonna be quite the offseason. South Carolina, we're gonna see how they handle the hype this go around, right, man? Because they haven't had this type of offseason hype basically since you were playing football for the Gamecocks. They're gonna come in next season probably somewhere in the top 15. Andy Staples already has them at number 7. Next year. None of this crap matters, as we all well know. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Hell, he's got Florida at number 9 for what it's worth. But the thing is, though, like, Shane Beamer came in with a mission, and he's in the middle of completing that mission as best he can, and probably at a little bit of a brisker pace than people thought, especially after last year only winning 5 games, Steven. So they're going to have to handle this throughout the offseason. LaNorris Sellers is their leader, and he's going to be the face of all this for the next 8 months. But it certainly seems like Coach Beamer's put this program in a prime position to be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. And like I said, and I think the over-under was like for them to get to 9, and should have had 10. I mean, she could have had 11, but that's a different story. I mean, that's such a hell of a jump. And I mean, even seeing stuff on Twitter where the guys that are jumping in the portal and coming to Columbia, I mean, he's got the right thing going on right now, and we just got to stay the course and not make sure we don't get our freaking heads exploded.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be all right.
I think so too.
What do you think about the playoffs, man? Do you like the system?
I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest, I just don't know. I don't know why they just can't copy what the NFL does, but I don't know.
And keep the
really
bowls.
I don't. Again, I don't have the slightest damn clue. I like the bowl season because there's plenty of games to bet on, but
hey, you got
as
a bet
like
for the Final Four?
Your reminder, cut.com, KUTT.
That's right. Yep.
You can lose your money to Steven Garcia.
Who we got? We got Indiana, or not Indiana, Notre Dame and Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. I'd like to see Notre Dame win that game. I can't stand Penn State. And I hate to say it because I can't stand Ohio State either, but Ohio State looks pretty damn good this playoff season so far.
They look like the best team in the country. They look like they have the highest paid roster in the country right now too. And they do.
Yeah.
They do.
It only took 15 games, but it looks like it now.
For the sake of college football, I mean, and I know that it's not going away and things like that. If Ohio State wins the national championship with all that money that they went out and bought that team with, and everybody knows it, that's going to be a kick in the balls to a lot of folks, I think.
Yeah.
They're
kicking the balls anyway.
Yeah, especially as far as where the sport is. I think they need to go to 16 teams. They need to do away with the seeding the way they do it and give 8 teams a first-round game at home and then go use those neutral sites from there.
I
think that's the best thing for college football. Could you imagine a home playoff game in Columbia, South Carolina? Oh, my God. Yeah. It'd be wild.
Yeah, that's an automatic W, I think.
Yeah, they'd be similar to Alabama in 2010. Newest episode is out today of Tailgate Talks, recorded last week in Orlando, Florida, one day prior to the Citrus Bowl kicking off. If you haven't had a chance to watch it or listen to it, you can. You can head to GamecocksPlus.com. You can also access that through our app. It's a free app, the Chief Sports app. And you can, if you're driving or running or, you're doing your good deed to get in shape at the beginning of the new year, so you're out there acting like you're running around the neighborhood, you can listen in podcast form on the Chief Sports app as well. Next week, it will be not with Ryan Suckup, but with the other Suckup that played at South Carolina, not to spoil it.
Yes, sir.
The leg, as they called him. He could kick it a country mile, that's for sure. I'm sure I'll catch up with you here shortly because we got some things we need to figure out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
thanks for jumping on, man. Really good to see you, and certainly appreciate it as always. Again, Tailgate Talks on the app. The great Steven Garcia. Hey, how cold is it down there? Is it cold?
I mean, I'm sitting inside with a hoodie. I refuse to put the heat on while living in Florida, so we just bundle up inside. It's a solid. I think it's like, let me look. It was 30 degrees this morning. And I tell my friends that, they were like, man, how do you do that? You have like kids and a baby. I was like, we bundle our ass up. So it's 48 degrees in Lutz right now.
Well, that's what it is here.
Yeah, we got 43 in Florence.
Yeah, it's pretty cold.
Dude, yeah.
This is Steven Garcia. Take your clothes off and run around naked weather.
I may do that here after the fasting. Yeah. I got to run that breakfast off.
Yeah, that's right. Man, we'll holler at you later. Thanks as always for your time. Great stuff.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir. Absolutely, guys. We'll see y'all later. See you
later, dude. Thanks.